Hello, welcome to this edition of Research Connection. Joining me today is Dr. Duncan Lascelles. Hey, Dr. Lascelles.
Hey, Kyle. How are you?
I am well. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Yeah. I'm Duncan Lascelles, for those of you who haven't seen me around. And my title is Professor of Small Animal Surgery. And I've been at NC State College of Veterinary Medicine since, I was going to say for 20 years. It's almost 20 years. So since February 2002. And now, although my title is Professor of Small Animal Surgery, I pretty much spend the whole of my time doing both clinical and basic pain research and collaborating with others in that field.
Neat. And what's some of the research you're currently working on?
Yeah, so we've got a number of projects going. I would say that the core of what we do is developing ways to measure pain. You might call it algometry. And mainly we work in the area of companion animals with naturally occurring painful diseases. Because of course, you can't say to a dog, how much pain do you feel? Well, we could, but we wouldn't get an answer. So we actually have to go beyond the verbal interaction that we might have with people and measure the dimensions, the things, the areas that are affected by pain, whether that's the ability to perform the activities of daily living, whether it's movement, the quality of movement, the amount of movement, whether it's cognitive function. So we collaborate with the behavioral group on measuring cognitive function, sleep quality, all of these dimensions, that's what I mean by dimensions, are impacted by pain, and we can measure those as a surrogate measure of pain. So we develop these ways to measure pain, and then we can go into two main areas. Firstly, we can test therapeutics. Secondly, because we know exactly how much pain is being experienced by that animal, we can then collect tissues and interrogate those to find out what is driving the pain.
Interesting. Are there any you'd like to highlight now, or any collaborations you'd like to share?
Sure, yeah. So we got a number of collaborations. I think that's the, if you like, the road to success. I'm still looking for it, but I think that's the road to success, is to collaborate with smart, generally young people who have a lot of energy. And so we have a number of collaborations with other groups that, as I mentioned, the behavioral research group headed up by Margaret Gruen. We're doing collaborations with Mike Nolan and his group around measuring cancer pain and the neurobiology of cancer pain, collaborating with Santosh Mishra and his group, looking at the neurobiology of arthritis pain. And a recent grant that we got is actually a Hills sponsored research, the pet food company. So anytime we are performing a research project, there's the core questions that we need to answer in that research project. And the core questions in this research project are, does a particular diet improve mobility in dogs with painful osteoarthritis? And I think that's an important question. We need more information around that. But then added on to that research project, we'll be gaining a lot more insight into how to measure the quality of motion and how the quality of motion is related to the degree of osteoarthritis pain, and how that is altered with a therapeutic diet if it turns out that it is beneficial.
If you were starting out in the current environment doing research, what kind of advice would you give?
Kyle, that's a great question. Because honestly, I do feel fairly fortunate that I have research that's going, that's up and running, and sure, it's been affected, and we have to sort of think through managing that. But I think if I was at an earlier stage, getting my research up and going, wanting to get my research up and going under the current situation, my advice for someone in that situation would be, I guess, firstly, think very carefully about what you plan to do. Make it as impactful as possible. Because with reduced time at the bench, with reduced time for research, you probably want to spend quite a bit of time, and it won't be wasted time, quite a bit of time thinking about exactly what you're going to do to maximize the impact of what you are doing. I guess what I'm saying is you don't have time for kind of wasted research. And then I think secondly, I would say use your time as best you can to write. If you're hoping to get into an area, if you're interested in an area of research, well, one way of kind of, stamping your mark on that area and creating a bit of a presence is to write about it. A narrative review, a short review, something like that. Take the time now to do that, so that when we are allowed to be back at full capacity, you can then maximize the time for the hands-on research.
That's great. Yeah, that's great advice. Well,
Well, I don't know about great advice, Kyle. It's some advice.
yeah. Well, it's coming from you, so that means a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for all the research you've been working on, and hope you're doing well.
Kyle, it's a pleasure to talk to you, and hopefully one day we'll see you back at the College of Veterinary Medicine.
Hopefully soon. Yeah.
All right. Take care, Kyle.